Before God, we are all equal, but in the labor market, some are more equal than others. If you agree with what I just said, type 111. If you disagree, type 222. Okay, so I'm going to be following. I've seen 111. I've seen 111. 111. Okay, I mean, I did this just to catch how many people are really not just here, but also present in the session. Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, finding a job is a job in itself. I want us to agree with this. Finding a job is a job in itself. Every time I engage with job seekers, the first thing I'm saying is, are you the best option? Because the job you are looking for, the employer is looking for someone to fill the role. So it means that for every job, there is someone who is qualified that the employer is looking for, either from a place of their wealth of experience or the skills and competencies that they have, or how they are projected themselves. So the reason why this conversation is focused around CV writing, interviewing, because, I mean, in the journey of job search, stage one is CV writing. Everybody should be able to write and tailor their CV to be captivating to any employer. Stage two, your CV puts you in a good position for an employer to invite you for the interview. And then in the interview, you are able to then sell yourself very well. And this is why some people are more equal than other people. A lot of young people can work, but not everyone is able to write their CV in such a way that it is attractive, and not everyone is able to sell themselves so well in the interview that they are able to get their dream jobs. Now, I'd like to talk about some of the challenges that we faced, as we submit job applications. I mean, she spoke about it. I'm just going to, add to it. There is traditional job search and there is non-traditional job search. Traditional job search simply means your normal and regular ways of finding a job. I mean, what is the usual way? What is everybody doing in finding a job? A few years ago, LinkedIn was a non-traditional way of finding a job. But right now, LinkedIn is now a traditional way, because a lot of people, in fact, I'll be surprised if there is anyone on the call right now that does not have a LinkedIn account. Everybody now uses LinkedIn to be able to position themselves, appropriate themselves for the job opportunities that are out there. Non-traditional job search is the uncommon way to finding a job. In fact, I have taught this in many tutorials and in many sessions, with my learners, and I've told them, have you thought about the one way that people are not thinking right now for finding a job? Most importantly, employers want to see that you have the right skills and competencies. I mean, part of our advocacy work is to influence employers to hire for the right attitude, for skills and competencies as against credentials. But again, we're making small progress. We have some small wins, but we have not been able to influence the labor market as it is right now. We are still very much a society that hires for credentials. So, because of that, I encourage people to get all the certifications, get all the qualifications that you need, that positions you for. This is what job seekers need to know. When you're finding a job, because I said initially that finding a job is a job in itself, you must carry that mentality that there is serious business. So what does that allow for you to do? You must narrow down to the industry you want to belong to. Desperation can make a lot of people just apply for just anything. But how do you narrow down to the industry you want to be part of? You narrow down to the organization, narrow down to the role. If you're able to answer these three questions first, it allows for you to now move a step further to say, what are the skills and competencies required for this role? What I mean, that's a question that you need to answer. Once you have narrowed down to industry, organization, and role, what are the skills and competencies required for this role, and maybe qualifications and certifications? Another question that you should be asking yourself, why do I want this organization amongst all the organizations in this industry? And then the final thing, which is very aligned to your passion, interest, purpose, is why this industry amongst all the other industries, right? However, because there is a thin line between what I want to do and desperation. So people sometimes capture their CV in a very generic way to say that if it's a bank, goes to a bank. I mean, the same CV, if it's in learning and development, oh yeah, HRO. I mean, we just spread our CVs just like that without doing the basics. I mean, the basics and the fundamental for job search is what I just explained. However, when you do all of these things the way I have said it, sometimes you still meet that barricade. Maybe organization is looking in a different direction that is not you, right? Maybe, I mean, you know, the market is very competitive. Maybe for certain reasons in the interview, I mean, you were not just the most preferred, right? It could be for a lot of reasons. When those happen, how do you handle it? Now, there is I mean, a lot of people are very familiar with intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, which we call emotional intelligence, but not many people have been able to spend time to understand AQ, the adversity quotient. And AQ is very much required in interview rejections. When you apply for a job, and then you have done everything with your CV, you have gone for an interview, and maybe you have gone different stages, and then at the end of the day, they have reached out to you to say, oh, sorry, we're not able to progress with you. How do you handle that rejection? It's very, very important. In fact, I have seen where people fall into depression because they've not been able to get a positive feedback from the interviews that they have attended. So they began to think that something is wrong with them. If anybody can relate to what I just said, just type 333. If you can relate to what I just said, like sometimes, I mean, it may not have happened to you, but you know someone who, because of interview rejection, or because they were not able to get the job that they so put in the effort to get, somewhere along the line, they just fall into depression. I mean, the problem is me. They're now beginning to think that the problem is them. The problem is not you. And then I've done this magic many times. One way to begin to deal with rejection from the skill of adversity quotient is to immediately, I mean, and it's very old school approach, a very old school approach. I mean, you see somebody, before you insult them, they first insult themselves. So you are now asking yourself, what am I going to say that is going to put this person on the edge? So somebody attends an interview, and I've said this many times, and you can go and try it. It works like magic. It's my trick for job seekers. You go for an interview. I mean, I usually tell job seekers that in the interview, employers know who they are going to hire. So people are coming off mute. I don't know if it's my problem. I don't know. Let's check. Some people are coming off mute. Okay. If you can hear me, type 444 so that I can carry on. 444. Even if it's one person, I would carry on. You can hear me, just type 444. Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Chinye, please, your mic is on.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, just keep all your questions down. Let me just cover all that I need to cover. I'm happy to answer all your questions. Right? So it's important that you are clear about what you want to get out of the interview. Consider the interview as a negotiation between two persons or two parties that needs the services of one another. A sit-down chat, a sit-down conversation. And when you approach the interview from that place, I mean, you're not pressured to think that, hey, if I don't get this job, well, how do I progress with my life? I really want this job badly. No. One of the things that I say to my people is, interviewers know who they hire in the first few minutes of interview. In fact, the biggest scam in the world happens in the interview room. In the interview room, employers will tell you, we will get back to you. Usually, from my experience, I mean, I interview for organizations as well. When an interviewer or an employer is telling you, we'll get back to you, just know that you are not their most preferred candidate. If an interviewer and an employer likes you, sometimes they jump the gun and start asking you, I mean, what would you want for compensation? Sometimes they jump the gun to start asking, when can you resume? You know, they start having further conversations because you are their most preferred. But every time the interviewer tells you, we'll get back to you, just know that it's doubtful. It's not so sure. Because, I mean, from the conversation, you can tell. When that happens, if that is your scenario, it is wisdom for you to just ask the interviewer. I mean, some people can argue this, but it has worked for some of the people that I suggested it to. Just ask the interviewer to say, I mean, I know that you might have interviewed other candidates, but again, I like useful feedback for every interview that I attend, just so that I can get better for my next interview. I mean, one of my trainee at the time tried this trick. And then the employer said, come on, you're so willing to learn. I'm going to offer you the job for what you just did now. I mean, it's rare to find people who want to take feedback from their interview real time from the interviewer. Some may not be willing to share. Some generous interviewer or HR person may be willing to share with you to say, okay, I mean, the first question you didn't answer very well. I mean, if it's a virtual interview, oh, maybe, I mean, you didn't look prepared for the interview. I mean, you didn't turn on your video. You know, they're able to give you those useful feedback that allows for you to not feel bad about whether you get the job or not get the job. And why is that important? I mean, of course, I've written an exam before, and you came out of the exam room, and then you remember all the things that you should have written, and you already tell yourself that I have failed. If you can relate to what I just said, type 555. Like you were in the exam hall. I mean, you know, in this part of the world, exam, that form of assessment is used to measure the intellectuality of a person, which is not 100% accurate, right? And then you go sit for an exam, and because of all the pressure and everything that we put on exams and tests, you are not able to remember all the things that you have learned. And then you step out of the exam hall, and then everything just comes to you. Everything just comes to you by yourself. You are telling yourself, I did not, I'm sure I'm not going to get a good score, a good grade from this. You are telling yourself that. How about you learn real time from the person who have interviewed you areas of improvement? I mean, you can interview for fun. The best time to find a job is when you have a job. When you don't have a job, there is a tendency for desperation. But the more you interview, the more feedback you get intentionally, the more you grow in the capacity to deal with rejection. So interview for fun. What is interview for fun? I have a job, I see a job opening, I apply, I create the time, I attend the interview to learn. The only problem is that if you're good at what you do, sometimes you may get the job. Sometimes you may get the job, and then if you do not mean it, that can become a problem. I mean, if what I'm saying makes sense, just type sense in the chat box. Let me see. If what I'm saying makes sense to you, type sense, so that I'm not just talking, feeling good here, and it's not really going well. I don't know how much time I have. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. I'm encouraged. So, what do you do when you get an interview invitation? What do you do when you get an invitation to attend an interview? This is a critical part. This is a critical part of your job search journey. Never, ever, it's a recruiting crime. Never, ever go for an interview without knowing in detail the organization. I mean, when I say the details of the organization, so people will go online and just go and see the name of the organization and what they do. No. Go and find out the vision of the organization, the mission, if they have a vision and mission statement. Go and identify those things. Go and find out the very core of that business. Find out the problems they are trying to solve. Find out their bigger goals. Once you are able to know these things, this is your magic. Once you are able to, but this is your magic, right? Once you are able to find out what the organization is about, what they are trying to achieve, the problem they are trying to address, because every business is trying to solve a problem. I mean, in fact, I don't like to work for organizations that are not really addressing a critical issue. If an organization is solving a problem, I need to be part of their vision. I like to support them in whatever capacity. So if you're able to identify what the organization is trying to achieve, then when they ask you the simple question, why should we hire you? That's your magic question. Why should we hire you? That's your magic question. That question can take different twists. They can also ask you, why do you think you're the most preferred candidate? I mean, they can also tweak it to be, we have interviewed 100 persons now. Why do you think you should be the one that will give this job? What are you going to do in the first 30 days on the job? What are you going to be introducing that we have not done before? That question is your magic question. Type for me in the chat box, magic question. If you're still following, let me just count the number of people that are following me up until now. I don't know, maybe it's network, but we're losing some people, and I'm feeling pained right now that people are missing out on some of the things that I'm sharing. Magic question. Thank you very much. So I have one person still following. Two, I think. Okay, yeah, there are a couple of people following me. Thank you. Your magic question must have a magic formula. So type magic formula. Magic formula. Magic question requires a magic formula. And I'll give you the magic formula. The magic formula is P plus S equals VS. The magic formula is P plus S equals VS. And what is P? P is problem plus solution equals the value of solution. I'd like for somebody to type the formula for me. P plus S equals VS. Thank you very much. P, problem, plus solution equals the value of the solution. As simple as this formula is, or as complex as you may want to process it to be, it's a magic that works for every person interviewing you. Imagine you're able to speak in the interview to the problem an organization is solving. To say, I mean, as I looked through and researched about the organization, I saw that our bigger goal is to address XYZ problem. I mean, having identified this, I tried to do a bit more research to see the progress we have made over the years, and then just see some things that I can introduce for us to begin to do a bit more. And then I have about 4 solutions that I came up with. However, I don't think these solutions are robust enough. But if I come into the organization in the first 30 days, I'm going to be liaising or engaging with the people who have been around for quite some time and understand how we have thrived up until now and what it will take for us to get to the next level. Based off of all the feedback that I get from the people who have been on ground for some time, I'm going to use that to now help amplify the ideas that I have so that the organization begins to execute and implement. That way, we're able to grow our customer base from what it is now by 50%. I mean, value of solution, you have to now be talking figures because you want to show them that if they don't hire you, they are going to be losing. Now, if you speak the way I just speak now, convincingly, I mean, you must have an idea. I mean, there are many ways to explain this formula. If you are going to speak the way that I just spoke now, I mean, trust me, the interviewer is already licking their lips. I mean, if it's the HR person or the business owner that is interviewing you, they're already saying, come on, this is juicy package. But you must first learn to master to do these things. I mean, the formula is simple, but you must learn to use the formula. Every organization has something their bigger vision statement or mission statement is addressing. And sometimes if you're able to get inside the organization, I mean, don't ask me how. Sometimes if you're able to get inside the organization, you are able to find out some of the things that they are dealing with internally. I mean, don't go and say that in the interview. But again, there's a way you can coin your solutions, and then they're like, how does this person even know what we are trying to deal with? You know, but I mean, don't make it look like you have gone to find out. No, there's a way you can coin your solutions to be tailored ready for the organization. Okay, if you're still following and you like what I'm saying, type 666 and let me wrap up here and maybe take some questions. Thank you. So you need to be very, very prepared as you think about your job search journey. It's not a journey that you enter and start preparing. And that's what a lot of people do in the labor market. They start the journey and then they start preparing on their way. I mean, if you are intentional about taking a trip, you know, even people who want to transition, they transition and be learning in the process. No, it takes some time. A lot of people want to go into tech, and I tell them, learn first before you transition. Some people even start the learning, but they are not patient. I mean, just a 3-month course, I'm okay and ready for tech. Do all the preparation, plan it very well, package everything, be ready, carry all your load, and embark on the journey. So as anybody is coming to you from this angle, you said, come on, I have something in my bag for that. Take it. If they come from this angle, take it. That's what preparedness does for you. That's what preparation does for you. You must be very, very prepared. Ask yourself, what are hiring managers looking for? What are recruiters looking for? Because, I mean, I feel very bad for people who are entry level, people who are just entering the job market. Because hiring managers want people with experience and skills. I mean, if nobody wants to hire a fresh graduate, where are they going to gather their experience from? But these days, we see it 6 years of experience, 5 years, 3 years, 4 years of experience. So, but if you're not going to gain all of those experience because nobody wants to hire you as a fresh graduate, how do you position yourself for volunteering? I mean, it's important to volunteer and learn. In fact, I have empowered people to the point where they pay money to volunteer to learn. Just 6 months and their life will turn around. They are ready for their next big job. You know, so it's important that you intentionally prepare for your job search journey, know what hiring managers are looking for, position yourself rightly, and then, trust me, finding a job becomes easy. Thank you very much. That's my time. I hope I managed my time very well. I mean, I'm happy to take some questions.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for enlightening us about your experience and everything it is you said. We appreciate and
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for that impactful session. I'm sure everyone was able to get 1 or 2 things or even more from the session. If you guys can hear me, can you guys please unmute and say thank you to Mr. Andre?
Continue. My answer is very bad, yeah. Hello, sorry, please. You can hear us. Type 777.
I can hear you.
Okay. Just one person. 777. Okay. Good. Shola, can you please continue? Because my network is very poor here. I don't know when it's going to take me off again.
Okay. So please, do you guys have questions for Mr. Andre?
Good evening, everyone. Hello.
Good evening.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Andre. I would really appreciate, like, I don't know, my network tripped when you were saying something about problem solution, value of the solution, right? And you also gave an example on how to answer the question. So where I stopped was I'll be liaising with the people in the organization with what that has been there for some time, something like that. So I would really appreciate if you like complete the statement, please. Thank
I
you.
mean, yeah, thank you very much. So that's some challenge when we are online. The network and different things can affect us. I mean, I can say it in many ways, but the
Yeah,
point
it
I was
doesn't have to be
making
WhatsApp.
initially, the point I was making initially was that, I mean, it's always good that you show to the interviewer that you are a team player. I mean,
All right.
you don't want to sound too arrogant with all the ideas that you have. So you're saying that I'm going to leverage on the wealth of experience and knowledge of the people that are already in the organization to furnish me with the information that I need to be able to now design some of the newer things, that we should be doing in the organization. A simpler way
All
to
right.
do it is, let's say you have a unique, effective communication technique that you want to introduce in the organization. You can go on to
Okay.
say to the interviewer that, I mean, you have over the years, you have mastered a particular strategy for communicating with clients. And I mean, there are very simple steps. So when I joined the organization, I mean, I'm very sure that I'm going to be getting the opportunity to join the organization. So when I joined the organization, so you're speaking confidently, right? When I
Yeah.
joined the organization, I'm going to be able to teach my team members, I mean, the people I'm going to be working with, this unique strategy, which very much focuses on a very effective way to listen, to understand the customer, to speak in such a way that we are affirming the things that we understood from the customer's request. And then we're also confirming and checking to make sure that the customer is satisfied at the end of the conversation. I'm going to teach my team how we communicate this way. However, when I'm done with that and everybody's doing this, and most of our customers are liking this unique way of communication, they are talking to other people about how we communicate. They are making referrals for us. And referrals and repeat business, one of the things that is going to help us as an organization, right? As we do this, our revenue can grow from XYZ amount to XYZ amount. This is another way to put it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Andre. I really appreciate.
You're welcome.